We are live from Knoxville, Tennessee on a little work trip. You can see the slightly unmade bed back here. Welcome, everyone. Picks from JOES 2019. How about that? We finally made it through. It's football season, college football season, more specifically. Screw the NFL. I can't stand the NFL. Can't get into any individual team. It's all, just the individual players I follow. So be it. Plenty of stuff to watch in the NFL, some exciting things, but I'm not getting fired up for any of the teams. So here we are, game week. Oklahoma State, actually one of the few big name programs, Power 5 or Division I programs, not playing a cupcake, so to speak, in the in the first game. Hang on, gang. I'm going to get some water. And don't worry, you don't have to be depressed about this. I already consumed three scotches, 3 servings of scotch prior to this, so I'm in a good mood for this. So anyway, game week, game coming up on Friday, way past my bedtime on Friday. Gonna try to gut that out. That's gonna be tough. Oklahoma State on the road in Corvallis playing the Oregon State Beavers. OSU versus OSU. Orange and black versus orange and black. This is confusing. So I will tell you this. I submitted a post. I don't know when or if it'll go up. It's kind of, I've done something like this in the past where it's called Hope is Undefeated. Obviously, my Twitter handle right now says that about how we're all jacked up, going into the first game of the season for our team, no matter who you are. So I'm at my customer, and it's in Knoxville, Tennessee. And obviously there are people wearing their Tennessee hats, with their Tennessee shirts on. And the operations guy for this customer, I asked him, are you college football guy? And he looks at me like, what, are you nuts? I live in Knoxville. I said, well, you Tennessee? Yes. How you feeling about this? And his first response was, I've already given up. Depression is real, folks. That guy's got a great season to look forward to already. He's already quit. He's done. So what we're looking forward to as Oklahoma State goes to Corvallis, thank God I'm Oklahoma State. Thank God for Mike Gundy. They tried to bust my balls in one of the meetings today. One of the warehouse guys in charge of receiving, and some of these guys Tennessee had on. I said, well, at least you got orange on. I'm not going to kill you for that. When I said Oklahoma State, his first response was, oh, they play football? And I immediately came back with, well, I hope so. You tried to hire our coach a couple of years back. So anyway, here we are, the game's here. Lots of stories as I posted recently. A lot of the countdown posts on Cowboys Ride for Free have alluded. Yeah, there are a ton of stories going into this. Will Jim Knowles' defensive, scheme and plan start to bear fruit? Going into this season, we have a new offensive coordinator. You got a new offensive line coach. You have a new quarterback, one way or the other. New quarterbacks. All right, Chuba Hubbard officially a starter. Taking that helm. This is going to be. I think this is just a lot of stuff going into this first game. So I'm going to start. I've been back and forth on this, and I tweeted this out a couple days ago that I've turned the corner on this. All right, and you can pretty much blame Adam Lunt and Michael Gift on, Tape Doesn't Lie for truly describing the suckiness that is Oregon State football. Now, I was just listening to kind of the first 10, 15 minutes of the 10-12 podcast with Philip Slavin and Chris Ross. They had Adam Lunt on to talk about the Oregon State preview. And I just stop telling me how Oregon State, how their offense is really an up-and-comer, and they've got one of the best wide receiving cores in the Pac-12. Okay, we're going to start with this. The Pac-12 right now sucks. It is probably, I think, without too much argument here, the worst Power 5 conference right now in football. They suck. Okay, number one. Number two, Oregon State was 2-10 that last year. They don't have much going on that's different than last year. Kids got, an extra year of experience. They don't really have any, new kind of crazy coaching hires over the offseason. One of their top receivers is out. He's injured, back problem, isn't even playing this game. Quit trying to tell me how dangerous Oregon State is, okay? Here's what's dangerous about this game. There are a number of things that are dangerous about the game. Coach Huddleston on Twitter, he spoke about it, and he's absolutely right. First game of the year on the road, long road trip, late at night. That's always got some diciness, kind of mixed in. You've got two brand new quarterbacks and a brand new offensive coordinator. That's got diciness mixed in. You got Mike Gundy, who's going to allow about 10% of the playbook to be available. We've seen that in action more than once. All right. And so that adds a little diciness in. You've got a defense that we're not 100% sure what to expect here. All right. We think secondary is going to be a strength, especially cornerbacks. The defensive line is brand new. They're going to be rotating in guys right and left. Linebacking cores is kind of a weird situation with Bundage coming off of injury, not starting. Malcolm Rodriguez, everybody was excited about him playing safety this year. He did great last year, or at least showed a lot of promise. He's now moving up to a linebacker position. I mean, defensively speaking, who the hell knows? Oregon State's offensive line, okay. Their quarterbacks, their quarterbacks are nothing. They're boring, horrible pockets. Come on. Their defense, their run defense is awful. They were 2-10, and nothing drastically has changed other than experience. Okay. I mean, they did have some coaching change last year. So people are talking about, well, now that, some of these guys are in their second year, so they should really have an impact. I'm sorry. I don't care what you saw out of Oregon State's offense last year. If Oklahoma State shows up and plays in Corvallis, this should be a 40-something to like 14-17 blowout, maybe 21. All right. I would fully expect Oklahoma State to at least get into the 40s. Even if you're being conservative, I would expect you to at least get into the 40s, win this game by 3 touchdowns. Come on. There's absolutely no reason why Oklahoma State can't win this game by at least 3 touchdowns. Okay? Only, the biggest reasons why they wouldn't would be the 3 I mentioned, and they're all controlled by Oklahoma State. Yes, is Oregon State going to be fired up? It's their first home game. There's no football culture up there. People are not into it. They're 2-10. They've sucked for years. Okay, they've been awful. There's no football culture. that fan base, if Oklahoma State goes up there and throws 2-3 touchdowns on the board in the first quarter, that stadium will be empty. That will be a thrashing of epic proportions. And I'm sorry, but as an OSU guy who, am I being unreasonably optimistic? Maybe. I've also got expectations. I mean, this is a team that if they have a bad year, okay, if Oklahoma State has a bad season, you're looking at last season. Okay, if Oklahoma State has a bad season, you're looking at last season. The Big 12 is really outside of OU, Texas, and Iowa State. The Big 12 is available, right? There's not a lot out there to be afraid of. I mean, TCU will be tough. They always have a really good defense, and it's a question of how they operate on offense. But, come on. I mean, there's not a lot of threat in the Big 12 past OU. And then you've got to throw Texas in. Texas' experience. They had a great Sugar Bowl win against Georgia. Sam Ellinger is getting a little too much hype. I mean, people talking about the Heisman with him. Please, are you come on. Lay off the drugs, people. Lay off the drugs. Iowa State, sneaky deal there. Matt Campbell, good there. They've been improving. I would not be shocked at another really good season for them. But past that, what do you have? Texas Tech, new coach. Kansas State, new coach. West Virginia, new coach. New quarterbacks across the board. Charlie Brewer back at Baylor. That maybe they'll be sneaky. I don't know. What Matt Rule's gonna really do down there. I'm not quite sure what to expect. But Texas Tech, K-State, Kansas with Les Miles. Come on. Oklahoma State, if they have a bad season, look at last season, right? Oregon State, if they have a great season for them, look at OSU last season. Right, you can see Oregon State maybe doing, instead of 2-10, maybe they do 4-7, maybe they do 5-4-7, 4-8, 4-8. We play 12 games. Everybody plays 12 games now, right? Maybe they're 4-8, maybe they're 5-7. A great year would be bowl eligibility. That'd be fantastic, right? So, as I look at this game for me, especially the way that Gundy's been preaching this discipline stuff, Oklahoma State, especially with new OC, new offensive line coach, new quarterbacks, these guys they shouldn't have any problem being fully attentive, okay, for this first game. If this was like Mason Rudolph going into his third year, remember the whole Central Michigan thing, and Coach Huddleston alluded to this in a little back and forth we had. He alluded to Central Michigan. Well, when we went up to Central Michigan, number one, Mason Rudolph had the reins, but he still wasn't, he wasn't that guy that had enough reps that everything is slowed down for him. And Gundy was conservative. They were just stupid conservative in that game. Central Michigan had a good team. All right. They had a good quarterback. All right. That team that OSU played up there and say barely beat, it was a close game and OSU won. That team, as far as I'm concerned, far better than Oregon State. Okay. So just stop with the Oregon State is dangerous nonsense. Oklahoma State shows up to play. Oklahoma State waxes the map with Oregon State. Waxes the map. Anything less than a 3-touchdown coasting win. I mean, like you get up maybe 4 or 5 touchdowns and then, Oregon State scores and things get close. Fine. But, I mean, if this thing is a couple of touchdowns apart going into the fourth quarter, huge disappointment. Oklahoma State wins by less than 3 touchdowns, huge disappointment, right? Makes me want to go, well, what's going on here? Okay. It sincerely believe that talent-wise and depth-wise, Oklahoma State, if they're awake when this game starts, there's absolutely no excuse for not just wiping the floor with a bad football program. Okay? Yes, there are some talented guys. Not saying there's zero talent. Any Power 5 team, they've got some talent. There's talent out there somewhere. But when you're playing a team that has some talent at every single position, please. All right. I'm fully anticipating going into this thing, watching the playbook. If you've got 50 pages, we'll see 2 of them in the offensive playbook. I would expect to see the defense be a little more in charge, than obviously they were last year. We know what we saw. I would expect, after all this conversation about, discipline, I would expect to see, people, not stupid penalties. And I loved the reference that Tape Doesn't Lie podcast made, Adam Lunt made. So win the battle of the dumb plays. Right? Or you say win the battle of the dumb plays and penalties. It just stop with this. Oregon State's not dangerous. Okay. What's dangerous is West Coast, late game, new QBs, new OC. Really, really fascinated to see Charles Dickey's offensive line and how that functions. That's one of those things to me. If a coach coming in, regardless of the position for the coach, if the coach coming in is something really, this guy's a difference maker, then you should see something that looks different. Okay. Oregon State, horrible run defense. Oklahoma State, new offensive line coach from Kansas State who used to run the same damn QB run play all night and you couldn't stop it. I fully expect to see Oklahoma State run the ball at will with authority. Okay? Just come on. We should have expectations that at their lowest are what we saw last year. All right? And if that's our low, just clean Oregon State's clock. Okay? Clean that clock. Few other games out there, nothing of great. I mean, OU Houston, I think, is pretty intriguing. Dana Holgerson down at Houston. It's at Norman. We'll see what happens. Really fascinated to see Jalen Hurts in action. I just, I hate to say I trust Lincoln Riley. That offense is going to function with Lincoln Riley at the helm. No questions asked. Texas. And is it La Tech? Texas and La Tech, right? It's, it should be pretty fascinating to see. Of course, Louisiana Tech guy made some type of bulletin board material comment regarding Texas. So who knows? Texas might really lather them up, but really, really curious to see, kind of how that game functions. La Tech, not a cupcake cup. I mean, you're not playing an FCS team, right? They'll have talent at some positions, but they shouldn't have talent across the board to match up with Texas, especially Texas defense. I think, let's see what we got here. Here's our scores. Let's get to the Big 12. All right. So, of course, OSU, Oregon State kicking it off, 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. OSU favored by 14. Again, complete disappointment if you don't. You just roll past that line. University of Northern Iowa at Iowa State. Fascinating game. Northern Iowa has given people trouble in the past. I would think Iowa State, if they're going to, they're coming into the season ranked. If they're going to have another great season, kind of another, moving on up type operation, then I would expect them to win that game handily. KU and Indiana State, fascinating if nothing else, just for the Les Miles era is officially off. So you got Iowa State's at noon, Kansas is at noon. Iowa State's on FS1. Kansas is not showing a broadcast station at this time. It might be on one of those weird, Fox Sports Southwest type deals. West Virginia with James Madison. James Madison's jumped up and beat somebody recently. That's a 2:00 game, and West Virginia is only favored by 6 at West Virginia. That ought to tell you something. Austin Kendall, former Oklahoma quarterback, graduate transfer. Neil Brown, new coach at West Virginia. Texas Tech and Middle Tennessee State. That's a 4:00 game. Again, no indication of broadcast there. Same with West Virginia. Then you got Stephen F. Austin at Baylor, 7:00 on ESPN Plus. There's that part of that new deal for the Big 12. Nichols at K-State, 7:00 again, ESPN Plus. Louisiana Tech at Texas on the Longhorn Network. So most of you prepare not to watch that. And then University of who? What the heck is that? Arkansas Pine Bluff. Good God. TCU. So we got University of Arkansas Pine Bluff, 8:00 Saturday night. Texas is 8:00 Saturday night. TCU's favored by 52.5. Wow. I might actually go under on that. And then a Sunday game, Houston at OU, 7:30 on ABC. So a nice full weekend, Big 12 football. Even though you've got a bunch of cupcakes, patsies in there, still going to be fascinating because you just got so much new activity. New coaches, new QBs. I just think that's going to be some fascinating stuff to watch over the weekend. Everybody favored by a lot except West Virginia. I think that line is shocking. And Kansas only favored by 4.5. That's just wild. You got TCU surprisingly with the biggest line, 52.5. OU's at 23, Texas 20.5, Kansas State's at 23.5, Baylor's at 38, Texas Tech 25, Iowa State 18.5. So you get some big lines in there, but a couple of shockingly low lines. That's really fascinating. So, excuse me. So, guys, chime in. This is going to get posted on Cowboys Ride for free. So this is after the fact, not no Periscope or whatever. And I've kept it above board. Don't want to offend the folks at SB Nation or give Micah some reason not to post this. So Friday night, 10:30 Eastern on FS1. 10:30 Eastern on FS1. Oklahoma State favored by 14. Chime in, comment on the reply to the tweet when this goes out. What is your real expectation? Should OSU, and don't give me the score necessarily, give me the spread. What you would expect at worst for Oklahoma State to beat Oregon State by 14 points, 18, 17, 21, 3 touchdowns. Give us a number. And what would you be disappointed if Oklahoma State doesn't win the game by at least that many points? Again, I'd fully expect if Oklahoma State's paying attention, this could be over with really, really fast, like first quarter over with type stuff. At worst case by halftime. But again, fascinating stuff to watch. Looking forward to it. Go Pokes, pistols firing. Couple of comments. Going to be at least one, possibly 2 games in Stillwater this year. Probably, definitely, I believe, going to be at the Kansas State game at the end of September. And then probably going to be, if work schedules hold out, we'll be at the Kansas game before Thanksgiving. I know it is what it is. I would have liked to have picked better games, but unfortunately, my my work travel schedule rules over that. But I will get to attend games with one of my work colleagues, and we've been dreaming of this since he came to work at the company where I work. We've been looking forward to the opportunity to get to at least a game together. So anyway, whoever's there, if everything holds out, see you at the end of September in Stillwater for the K-State game, and in November for the Kansas game. And go Pokes! Stay up late. Take your 5-hour energy right before kickoff. Right, plenty of caffeine so we can stay awake for the contest. Take care, everybody. Go Pokes!